Alright, so Ming-Chi Kuo confirmed a lot of JP Morgan's claims about the next-gen iPhone lineup, and I completely understand that a lot of you were confused. So in today's video, I will try to simplify it as much as possible, and then also talk about the portless iPhone thing. So let's start out with explaining the iPhone lineup. Well, intro first, let's go with that. Okay, cool. Intro's done. For those of you confused about next year's iPhone lineup, here it is. There's two regular, cheaper iPhones. There's two Pro iPhones. There's only 3 sizes, okay? We've had this in the past. For the regular iPhones, there's a smaller 5.4-inch version and a larger 6.1-inch version. For the Pro models, it's the opposite. They have a 6.1-inch model, but also a larger 6.7-inch model. So Pros get an extra big size, regulars get an extra small size. All of them have OLED, all of them have 5G, all of them are Face ID, whatever. That's about it. Okay? If there's something you wanted to understand, if you wanted me to simplify the iPhone lineup, that's all you gotta know. 4 in total, 2 regulars, 2 Pros, 1 small, 1 big, 2 regulars at 6.1-inch. Okay? Easy enough to understand? I hope so. Okay, moving on. There's also a regular iPhone SE, but you shouldn't even consider that in the same realm because that's a LCD model. It's gonna look identical to the iPhone 8, and it comes out in March of 2020, not September. There's a giant 6-month gap there, so I wouldn't even bunch them together like everybody else is. But yeah, just imagine the iPhone 8 with an A13 chip, and it's $400 and there's no 3D touch. That's basically what the next gen SE is, coming out in March, and then there's the other 4 we just talked about. Capiche? Easy to understand? I hope so, because now I want to address the portless iPhone rumor, which, may I just remind you,
I came knocking on your door 1,000,000 times, and you laughed at me.
I've been talking about portless iPhones for a long time. In fact, it's one of the reasons I started doing the portless challenge way back in 2017. Now, yeah, I know, I've stopped doing the portless challenge since then, but that's because there is still a reasonable amount of doubt I have with this rumor, even though it's coming from Ming-Chi Kuo, who has a fairly reliable track record. He's not always right, though. There's people that fall on either side of him, and I think it's important to look at what Kuo is saying, look how accurate he is, and then also look at what other people are saying and think contextually at the time of a statement he's making, and you can kind of figure out for yourselves whether or not Kuo is going to be accurate or potentially inaccurate. So while Kuo is saying that Apple is considering the higher-end iPhone in 2021, we're talking 2 years from now, won't have a lightning port, won't even have USB-C, anything, it'll just be wireless only. I'll talk about the possibilities of that. Not that I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen that soon for a couple of reasons. One, the iPhone design and feature set is usually not finalized until about 4 months before the iPhone actually gets announced. Mass production of iPhones begin in May, with most of the time them shipping in September, which means that up until May of next year, Apple hasn't even finalized everything for the next gen iPhones. The rumors we're talking about now, yeah, Kuo's pretty good at figuring out what supply chains are asking for and what display sizes they're going to be, but when it comes to actual features that are going to be shipping with the product, those types of things can change a lot. And 2021 in smartphone world is a long time from now. The first Cybertrucks will start delivering at the end of 2021, okay? At the end of 2021, we'll be talking about the Apple Watch Series 7. There's a lot of stuff that can change in that amount of time. So my point is, there's no way to know what the 2020 iPhone is going to have or do because Apple doesn't even know. They haven't decided yet. I do think it's possible that there's analysts or rumors that maybe know people inside working on the next gen iPhones, and maybe there's a prototype without a notch, or maybe there's a prototype without a lightning port, but that does not confirm that it is happening. And if you go throughout history and look at any iPhone rumor that's 2 years in advance, they're never very accurate at all. iPhone leaks get incredibly accurate as they get closer to their release date. When you're 2 years away from the launch of an iPhone, rumors are very rarely that close. They usually change a lot throughout time, and the reason I think a lot of analysts will make claims about iPhones 2 or 3 years from now is because they know 2 to 3 years from now, no one's even going to remember they brought it up. So even if that statement or claim was wrong, only the loyalists, only the big brain people are going to remember to go back and say, hey, you said this about the 2021 iPhone, and everyone goes, oh yeah, but I barely remember that. I just forgot all about that. There's so much content and there's so much new stuff that's going to come out in the next 2 years years that we're not going to remember talking about this by the end of 2021. So it's a safe claim to make if you truly believe Apple's going to do it, and there's not much risk involved, because if they end up not doing it, you can say, well, you know, it was a long time ago and it was in the prototype phase, or maybe that concept was scrapped. So you can really backtrack on that. Following Kuo's rumors this year, he's been fairly accurate. There's a couple things he didn't get right, but there were a lot of things he did. So I'm not trying to discredit Kuo as a leaker. He's pretty spot on in the past, as is on leaks. He's done a good job in the past, but I have my doubts because I still feel that there is a lot of disadvantages to removing the charge port on a phone, as I'm sure lots of you guys are already thinking of it. What about CarPlay? What about that one guy who plugs in his phone to an HDMI adapter and loads content onto a TV? What about hard restores? You can't do that with the port gone. So acknowledging all of those issues and the fact that I have doubts about this rumor myself, I think there's a good chance 2021 iPhone will have Lightning or USB-C or just a charge port of some kind. I still want you guys to remember that when Apple removed the headphone jack and every YouTuber hated them for it and everyone memed them to death because courage and they just want to sell more headphones, look around you now. How many phones have removed the headphone jack after Apple did it in the first place? And I don't want to hear no, well, wireless technology wasn't very good back in 2016 and it's just so much better now, so it's okay to remove the jack. It barely changed. It got a little bit better, but AirPods came out at that time and they grew to be the most popular wireless headphone, so that clearly was enough for most people. I get that sound quality wasn't excellent, but Apple was the company to admit, hey, most people listening to high quality audio aren't listening on their phone and would rather have the convenience of wireless headphones. You had companies like Samsung mocking Apple constantly for not having the headphone jack, and now, looking at the Galaxy Note 10, no headphone jack there. What was their excuse for removing it? It was nothing about wireless technology getting better. Samsung just said, well, we wanted to fit a bigger battery and more stuff inside the Note 10, so we had to. It's like, it's like someone else thought of that for the same reasons. Now we're looking at leaks for the Galaxy S11, and it also doesn't have a headphone jack. So as upsetting and as annoyed with that as you may think you are, remember that if Apple does something, there's a high chance that everyone else is going to follow through with it too. And there are a few advantages and benefits I think some people may be forgetting about. This does increase the likelihood of a wireless charger coming with the iPhone, and I also don't think Apple would remove the charge port without making at least some improvements with wireless charging tech. I'm not saying they're gonna figure out a way to charge across the room, though that would be cool. I don't think the tech is there yet, but perhaps improving the speed of wireless charging, as Apple is still shipping fast chargers with the higher end iPhones, so they acknowledge that people care about having faster charging speeds. So my guess is that if Apple were to release a portless iPhone, they would improve CarPlay so that it could work without being plugged in and whatnot. They would improve wireless charging technology to be much faster. They would likely ship the phone with a wireless charger, which is kind of neat. And on top of that, try to make the battery life so good that you don't need to plug in that regularly, so that hopefully you can last a day or two on a single charge. CPU technology is going to be vastly better by then, probably way more power efficient than it is now, and it also increases the likelihoods of maybe AirPods even coming with those iPhones. I know I did a whole video on why I don't think they're going to do that next year, but if they're making a phone without a port in it, that would incentivize them to ship with AirPods, probably the base model version, but still, that would be a pretty neat package. I'm sure that they could focus more on, stereo speakers if there was no charge port, better water resistance, and it's not like they've never made products with no ports before. They've been doing it with the Apple Watch for a long time, and sure, there's a new set of challenges with doing it with an iPhone, but if they do it someday, I bet they're going to come up with lots of different wireless data transfer technology and wireless charging technology to improve on what we have now, and you'll probably see lots of other companies follow in their footsteps not long after. But of course, after they mock them in commercials, because I'm sure Samsung will keep the charge port for a couple more years until everyone's used to it and everyone's comfortable with it, and then they'll remove it too, and then privatize all their old commercials mocking Apple for it. So don't hate on it too much just yet, because it's more likely going to be an industry decision than it is just an Apple choice. Some companies will stick around for a while, but eventually they'll cave in. But on top of all of this, just keep in mind that I have my doubts about this rumor. I'm not saying it won't happen, I'm just saying most rumors this far in advance don't end up happening, and there's a good chance that there will be a port on the 2021 iPhone. So don't act like it's all confirmed yet. Apple doesn't know what they're doing for that, and neither do we. So don't act like we know for sure. Now, before I end today's video, I know a lot of you guys have been asking for a giveaway. It's been a highly requested thing on my channel, and you've all wanted me to give away something from a certain fruit company. So I chose organic produce. I'll be giving away this pomegranate, and to enter the giveaway, you have to not ask to enter the giveaway. You can't ask about what increases your chances of winning. You can't ask how I'm going to choose who wins the giveaway. If you ask any further questions about the pomegranate giveaway, you instantly are disqualified. I'm gonna give it away to someone randomly, and you can't ask why. Don't ask more about the giveaway. Anyone who brings it up, instantly disqualified. So if you want the pomegranate, don't talk about the pomegranate and don't ask about it. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.